Some breaking news right now in terms of President Trump and the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. I want to put this up here on live now from Fox, from Truth Social. The president saying Iran should have signed the deal I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. So some stark warning there from the President of the United States after we're seeing different interactions between Israel and Iran in the last several days. Of course, following it very closely here on Live Now from Fox, as we heard over the weekend reporting that President Trump had vetoed a Israeli plan to take out the supreme leader in Iran. I don't know how much we can read into these words in terms of directly impacting it, but certainly a stark warning for Iran, for Tehran, saying everyone should immediately evacuate. So we're following this closely here on Live Now from Fox, and we'll continue to break down the latest on anything that we know that unfolds in real time from that area in the Middle East. Some breaking news right now in terms
متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردی، صدایی که شنیدی، فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم که شنیدی، صدا.
Now to breaking news from the G7 summit in Canada. President Trump is leaving the meeting a day early, heading back to D.C. tonight. Our senior political correspondent Rachel Scott joins us now from the site of the G7 there in Canada. Rachel, why is the president leaving?
Yeah, this is really unexpected, Lindsay, and this news is just coming in. This is breaking news here for all of us here in Canada at the G7 summit. We were informed by the White House press secretary that the president is now ending his visit here for the G7 summit very suddenly, that he plans to return back to the White House tonight. I want to read you what the press secretary said in a statement. She said that the president had a great day at the G7 summit, especially discussing trade, but now the president is going to be leaving tonight after dinner with heads of state, given the ongoing crisis that is happening and unfolding in the Middle East. And Lindsay, this does come after the president not too long ago actually posted on social media a very direct and blunt warning, a warning that everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran. We know the president has been in very close contact with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We know that he has been monitoring the ongoing developments between Israel and Iran. But now this is a very, very sudden development here coming from Canada, that the president is now leaving the G7 summit early and now returning back to the White House. I am also told, Lindsay, that we just got this in from two sources now, that the president has also instructed his national security team to be there in the Situation Room as the president returns back to the White House this evening. Lindsay.
And Rachel, what was on the docket for tomorrow that he's now missing?
Yeah, the president did have a full schedule for tomorrow, Lindsay. So this means the president will no longer be having a press conference where he would be taking questions from reporters. He will also no longer be meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky, and also no longer meeting with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum either. Those meetings have now been called off as the president makes this return back to the White House. And I will tell you, all eyes were also going to be on that meeting with President Zelensky as well, because yes, as the president is very much focused on this ongoing and escalating conflict between Iran and Israel, the president also has been trying to broker the peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia as well. He just spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin over the weekend for about an hour. He told me that a lot of their conversation also focused on these ongoing developments that are unfolding in the Middle East as well. But as of now, Lindsay, what we know, the president is now leaving Canada tonight, and he has in fact instructed, we are told, his national security team to be in the Situation Room, Lindsay.
All right, Rachel Scott with this breaking news for us from Canada. Thanks so much, Rachel. Now to breaking news from the G7 summit in Canada. President Trump is leaving.
Have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great host. Thank you in Canada. But you probably see what I see, and I have to be back as soon as I can. We're going to have dinner with these wonderful leaders, and then I get on the plane. I have to be back early for obvious reasons. I loved it. I tell you, I loved it, and I think we got a lot done. Really, a lot done. In fact, UK, we signed a big trade deal today, and we're working on others. But we had just a really great relationship with everybody, and it's really nice. I wish I could stay for tomorrow, but they understand. This is big stuff. I have to be back. Very important. I want to just thank our great.
Shalom. Call William La Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Rakha Kodash. Rakata Yahweh, Rakata Yahweh Shai, Rakata Rakha Kodash Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Rakha Kodash. Shalom and double honors unto the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elder bishops and the elders and the Akim and the Aqua of the hopeful elect. Shalom. Just want to go into a quick video, just breaking. The latest developments, these World War III, progression. So it's a bit of an update. So we've seen, a few videos on TikTok there. TikTok's pretty good aid as far as these lessons. They have pretty unfiltered clips, that we can use for edification and filter it through the scriptures, right? And get the updates of what's going on. Throughout the earth, because CNN and Fox News, these media outlets here, they filter, they water down everything, right? So, there's a lot going on, and the Lord is moving everything, because it's time to usher in the kingdom of heaven. And if the Most High doesn't, shorten these days, then then the serpent will devour the children of Israel, but that won't happen. Let's see. We'll start here in Matthew 24 and verse 22. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So the days are going by fast. The days, weeks, months, years. It seems like we just hit 2020, it's already 2025. Halfway of the decade, half the decade is almost gone, right? So the Most High is speeding this up real fast. And so we're seeing in those clips, the war, and Trump was telling Iran, the inhabitants of the Iranians, right, to evacuate, because they should have signed, that they should have signed the deal to denuclearize, although they probably America more than likely won't denuclearize, right? And, this is all of the Lord, though. The final judgment, the final act, so to speak, right? This is the end of the beginning of the end. World War III. It's ushering in the very end. They're going to go out, with a bang, so to speak, right? So, and at the end of his tweet, he said he told the people of Tehran to go. That's the capital. I believe that's the capital of Iran, is Tehran, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a very popular city over there, right? And so he said for them to, at the end of that long tweet, blowing that hot air, speaking great proud things, right? He said that the people of Tehran should evacuate immediately because, his little hat, because he's in direct communication with the little hat head demon, the one that wished Trump a double happy birthday, right? That demon there. He has a very evil countenance. That Benjamin guy of the Little Hats, the president or whatever of the Little Hats, keeping them abreast of what's going on, right? And so Trump knows that Israelis are going to continuously attack Iran. So this is the greatest conflict in their history now. The Israelis and Iran, they've never fought on this level. It's continuously escalating, as we've prophesied. The prophets, teachers, elders, teachers like myself, been saying for years, that it's going to only intensify, because everyone else is hoping that it's going to be peace, right? And so in the middle of peace talks they having to abruptly shift gears. They thinking that they was going to bring peace, but no, the Most High, he's mustering this battle. He's getting this. He's readying the armory, readying the arrows. Arrows meaning the missiles, right? And the military artillery that he's going to use to wage his war of these heathen countries to bring in the end. And then also Trump left the thing called the G7 summit early. He was supposed to be there another day today. So the G7 summit, it used to be the G8, and that was the G8 had Russia involved. Russia was a part of it. Around 2014, Russia got their membership revoked and suspended, and then that sent Putin, that angered him, right? And he took Crimea. That's one of its old Soviet Union, land masses, Crimea, and he took that during the Obama administration. And then now he's trying to take Ukraine now during the Biden/Trump era, right? So the G7 right here says is an informal group of 7 major advanced economies: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. It's a forum for leaders to discuss global issues like the economy, security, and development. The G7 also includes the European Union, which is represented by the heads of the European Commission and European Council, according to Reuters. So I thought that was interesting, G7, and it's including the European Union. Reminds me of the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, right? This is the Western, basically the whore and his allies, and the Most High, and that's prophetic that they kicked out Russia, because Russia's not a part of that 7 heads and 10 horns, because Russia is that bear that's going. They thinking that they suspended them, but the Most High put the spirit on man, the leaders of these nations, to do particular things, and that was very peculiar that the G7 kicked out Russia, when they were the G8 with Russia, and then they kicked them out and became the G7 and went back to their normal alliance, right, within each other. And Russia, that bear, that roused them up, because that's the Most High putting hooks into the jaws of Putin and the Russians, the bear, putting hooks in his jaws and turning them back to the that Soviet Union